Hello everyone, my name is Austin. I just wanted to go over some of the basics of EnergyPlus. I know some of you guys have been struggling to learn to use these programs. Building modeling programs are not easy to use, or easy to learn. So I'm just going to go over a few tricks that I've used for EnergyPlus that might be helpful for you. I'll just show you the interface for EnergyPlus. Here is my K600 model file here. So this is the kind of standard interface for EnergyPlus. Actually, I want to open this one. Oops, I don't want this one. So this is the standard interface for EnergyPlus. And so you've got a text editor here, the IDF editor, which is a bit more of an advanced editing tool. Then you can choose the location with this weather data file here. So here I've got some loaded. I don't see Ottawa on there, but I've got Ottawa somewhere else. I can load it. Actually, if we want to edit a file like this, this is what it looks like. Either you have the text editor, shows all the different inputs, and it's quite a long file. IDF editor cleans that up a little bit, but it's still quite detailed, quite long. So this is just my K600 model here. A lot of these files are blank, but here you can see, so there's the 6 building surfaces, here's the 2 windows, there's the zones. Click on this, we can see each surface here. We can see what its construction type is. So here I've got exterior wall, roof, floor. So that's kind of how the EnergyPlus interface is structured. It's a bit difficult to use just starting out. It's very complicated. There's actually a nested structure that you don't really notice. So here you have the building surfaces, and then you've got construction. So here you've got a construction exterior wall. So let's go to exterior wall construction. So here's our construction. Here's our exterior wall, and that's made of wood siding, fiberglass quilt, and plasterboard. So then we want to go to our materials. We've got 21 materials. So then we can see the fiberglass quilt there, and then all the different details for that. Thickness, conductivity, density, specific heat. So a lot of the structure within EnergyPlus is nested like that. You've got, so in this case, you've got materials that are built up into constructions that are built up into surfaces. And it's similar for other parts of EnergyPlus. For instance, schedules can be built up from the day to sets of schedules, and those will be used by different systems. So I'll show you what my go-to is, what I normally use the most, and that's BEopt. And the reason I use BEopt is because my research is focused on residential, and BEopt is very good for coming up with house designs. So there's other options here, Building America, and this is for California, or new construction or retrofit, so I'll just go with standard and new construction. So the first kind of pane here is the geometry pane. And so we can design a house using this user interface here. Let's just do a house like this. We can go down to underground, make a basement. So we want to make a basement there. There we go. Got our house and our basement. On the second floor, let's say make our house a bit more architecturally attractive or unattractive. Like that. And let's make this roof tight. Oops. I think we can make it flat. I thought we can make it flatter. Yes, you can make it flat. Like that. We'll go up the third floor, make this a flat roof too. And let's say we want a porch that comes up the front here. Oh, oops, that's a porch roof. I'm going to get rid of that. So there's our architecturally pleasing house right there. So there's a number of options here you can choose to design the house in the way that you want it. It's very good that way. And then the next pane here allows us to choose what we want our building to, our design should be for the mechanical and envelope components. So right now we've got it so that the back of the house here is facing south, which is good. That's the most energy advantageous. But we could change that around. We could change the orientation. We could change whether or not there are neighbors on either sides of the house. We could change the heating set point and so on. And what's nice about this is you can pretty much select any conventional system for a house that you could want. Unfortunately, if you're doing like net zero or very advanced systems, it can't do it. But for typical systems, it's got quite a wide range. So if we look at furnaces, it's got a number of furnaces, air conditioners, it's got air source heat pumps, ground source heat pumps, things like that. So a number of selections there. Then we can go and change the location. So I have Ottawa loaded in here. Change the terrain. And then you can add in a number of cost data as well. So this program is designed to optimize houses to make the most energy efficient, and it's designed to do net zero. It would be much better in the States. It was designed for the States, but for Canada, there's a bit. It's not as effective because you can't do advanced HVAC systems as much. But making a net zero house in this program for the States would be quite easy, and I'll show that a bit later. So here you can change the electricity rate. If you want to add in a rebate, like a feed-in tariff, you can add that in here. So it's very good in terms of its very thorough cost analysis. So right now I'm just running it in the design kind of mode, and you can change this mode. You can change it to parametric or optimization mode, and I'll let you guys look into that if that's something you're interested in, is optimizing houses. There's a lot of good stuff on the BEopt website about that, but I'll just stick to design for now, just to show you guys how you can make a house design in EnergyPlus using BEopt. So once we've selected all of this, we can hit run, and so it will run that design in EnergyPlus. And what it does is it creates an XML file, and then before it simulates it, it converts it into an IDF file, which is the EnergyPlus file type. So if I go to Documents, go to BEopt, and then go to, this is the kind of default directory that BEopt uses. It uses it right on in your Documents folder. And this is what I just ran. This was the design that was running in BEopt. So here we have the house design here, and then it shows the total present value of that because it has associated cost data for each of these options. And this is kind of more energy related costs, things that aren't related to energy aren't necessarily in BEopt. So this is kind of a relative cost. So if you had a whole bunch of designs, you could compare them on this relative cost. And then it gives a breakdown of the energy here. And unfortunately, I haven't figured out a way to change this into gigajoules or kilowatt hours. So it's in millions of BTUs. So if we go back to this temp file, here's our EnergyPlus document here. If I open that up, here we have a complete EnergyPlus file, and I made that in like just before your eyes there. So it's very straightforward to make a house using BEopt. And then you can go in here and change different values whatever suits your preferences, things that BEopt might not necessarily do. Next, I want to show the OpenStudio. So, Studio. So OpenStudio is kind of what I would go to if I was trying to make a building. You can't really make a building in BEopt. You can make a house in BEopt, but not a building. The opposite is kind of true for OpenStudio. OpenStudio, you can make a building, but you can't make a house. And it's just like the systems aren't necessarily set up for that. So this is the interface for OpenStudio. You don't normally go straight to OpenStudio. I just wanted to show you what it looks like. Normally what you would go to is SketchUp. And so there are instructions online on the OpenStudio website for how to install OpenStudio and SketchUp so that you can get them working together. You get all of these toolbars here for doing building design. But first, I just want to show you the house that I just designed on BEopt, just for fun, just to show you that it actually worked. Go to Documents, BEopt, Temp. So there's a number of errors, and this typically happens. You can't really take an existing IDF file and convert it to an OpenStudio model without there being a number of errors. It's really only good for looking at geometry, and you really don't want to save it. So after I do this, I won't save it. I'm just kind of bringing it in here to look at the design. So there you go. There's our fancy house that I just designed. This is a dummy zone here. I don't really know what that's for. And also, what's interesting about BEopt is once you bring it in here, you'll find, like if you put solar panels on the house, you'll see the solar panels like over here, way in the distance, or solar thermal panels out over here. So it's just interesting to see that those panels are there in this model as well. So that's just an example of a building. Next, I'll show you how to actually use the OpenStudio. So this is just showing the different renderings that are used by OpenStudio. This is just rendered by surface type, rendered by boundary condition. So this is the boundary condition is the ground. This is the boundary condition is the air. This is by construction, I think. Yes. So the different constructions have different colors here. For some reason, these north-facing windows are a different color, and the east-facing windows are different than these windows. So it's good, and also you can use. I think it's Spectre. Yes, this one. So if you want to inspect, find out what's going on with certain pieces of the structure, you can select them. So this is the living space. If I click further, then go exterior insulated finished wall. Okay, that makes sense. It should be an exterior insulated finished wall. Okay, this is the door. This is front glass, left glass, right glass. That makes sense. And then, so it shows you a number of information accessible on the construction of the houses. So let's say I wanted to make a building. All right, so let's close this. And start from scratch. So I'm going to go through kind of a standard procedure for making a building. This was an example that was shown to me through an OpenStudio workshop, so I'm just going to follow along with that. I'm going to probably go through it quite quickly. I don't want this to take a long time. I'll probably simplify some steps as well. So if we want to draw a building, we want to start just by making a floor plan. Like this. And then I want to draw some lines divided into spaces. Like that. And then to turn this into a building, we use this button right here. So we can select the floor height and we can select the number of floors. So let's do 4 floors. So there's our building. Sorry. I'm not as experienced with OpenStudio as I am with some of the other tools. So I just want to put some windows on this building. So it says switch the render mode back to render by surface type. So I'm on render by surface type. Select spaces by drawing. Select all spaces by drawing window. Select tool. Okay. It says plugin, OpenStudio, user scripts, add or alter model elements, set window to wall ratio. Okay. So this will just add windows. So there we go. We've got our building. So then now we want to add overhangs to our building. This tool allows us to search for certain surfaces on the building. So we can choose all the south-facing windows. And can select a surface orientation of 180 degrees. So that selects all the south-facing windows. For some reason, there are internal windows. Isn't that good? Oh well. We can run. Oops. Sorry about this. We'll go to these user scripts, add or overhangs by projection factor. All right, so we've added overhangs. Now we want to unhide the rest of the building. So we've added overhangs on the inside. That doesn't seem so great, but oh well. Obviously this is going to take some playing with. So now we want to try and change the thermal zones. So if we render it by space type, here we can see it's all one space type. We can use this tool to change the space types. Oh, okay. Never mind, that's not what I'm trying to do. What kind of space types are these right now? Here we go. So we can change the thermal zones. So see that's a different color. We can select the bottom two floors, make that one thermal zone. And this is going to be difficult, actually. Yeah, so we can select those L-shaped zones there. Make those a new thermal zone. This one we want to make it the same as that one, so we can just change that to thermal zone 1. These back two pieces, we can make a new thermal zone. So there we go. We've got our 4 thermal zones for this building. Now let's save this. As a OpenStudio model, or not as an OpenStudio model. Actually, yeah. Let's see. So now it'll be an OpenStudio model test. So we want to bring this into OpenStudio, so we can do that just by clicking this button. So here is our test OpenStudio model. As you can tell, this isn't as straightforward necessarily as BEopt. It does take a lot more work, and you got to know what you're doing. I don't know if I'm really showing that I know what I'm doing, but I don't know. At least this will give you an idea of what's going on in OpenStudio. So I want to try and find a weather file. Let's just go grab just trying to find the Audible one, but I'll just go and use something from here. Use that. So there we've got our weather file, San Francisco. If we had a design day file, actually we should have a design day file. In here. So let's use that San Francisco for some reason. So here's some schedule information here. You can change some schedules. So if you know that you're going to have certain systems using certain schedules, you can make them in here. There's a lot of defaults here. So you've got medium office, occupancy schedule for the number of people, lighting, equipment, stuff like that. And then in the schedules tab here, you can edit that. So if we look at the always on profile, it's 1 all the way across, as you'd expect. Always off, 0. Then you've got medium office activity. That's showing full across the board, which is kind of weird. Let's look at equipment. Oh, very strange, actually. Oh, here we go. So here are lighting profiles. So here you can see on Sundays, it's very low. On Saturdays, there's a little bit of activity. on Saturdays. And then during the weekday, there's a lot of activity. So the lighting is almost fully on, starting at 8, and then at about 5 o'clock it starts petering off. So you can edit these schedules in here. Just like that, moving things around. And then you have these schedule sets that you can apply to different things, like lighting and occupancy and equipment. Here's so remember when I showed you in EnergyPlus the nestedness of the different systems. Here you've got your construction sets, which is what a certain house or building would have. And then you've got your constructions, and your constructions are made up of several layers. And then your materials have a number of thermal properties. So you can make your materials in here, so you can just add a new one. So I just added a new material here, material 1, and then these are the default values for that, and I can change them right here. And then in constructions, this is the exterior door. Let's say for some reason I want to add new material. I just made material 1 to this exterior door. Just drag it over like that. And then I've got the construction sets here. And then the exterior door here would be changed. But if I wanted to, I could change the construction of the door to be a window. For some, if I wanted to. You can make different constructions, and then you can move in here. I can make the door a floor if I wanted to. Here's where you define kind of the maximum lighting or equipment and people. So you've got your schedule, and that goes from 0 to 1, and then it multiplies this number. So these are the kind of maximum definitions of what you would have in the building. So this is kind of showing the so here is the occupancy definition. So this is the maximum, and then this is the multiplier, the schedule. And same with lighting and equipment. And then up here you have a few other schedules. So this is the default schedule set, this is the default construction set, outdoor air definition. I think with this you can define how the outdoor air, how the building will be ventilated, and then infiltration. So you can divide that up by building story. This is kind of default here for the whole building, but let's say you wanted to have default construction sets for different floors. You could even have, divide it up by spaces. So each story has 3 spaces. So for each story, you can have a default construction set, a default schedule set. So again, you can see kind of that nested nature of EnergyPlus. Here you can have default construction sets on each space or each floor or the whole building. So this is exactly the same as up here. It's just divided by each space. Next is the thermal zones. So let me just see how to do this. So if I select thermal zone 1, library tab, I expand this section, then I can put in a one of these, I guess. Where do I drag that? Zone equipment. So I put that over here. So I put in a packaged thermal terminal heat pump. So then if I go here, and I select packaged rooftop VAV with reheat. I'm just following through the steps here. All right, so that looks good. Select the splitter or mixer object. Splitter or mixer object. Oh, here we go. Here's thermal zone 1. I don't know if I'm supposed to put that there. But anyways, so this gives you an idea of how the kind of HVAC design for buildings in OpenStudio works. I'm not experienced with it very well, so unfortunately I'm not the best to show you how to do this. So I'm just going to leave this for now, but basically you can add a HVAC system using this button here, and then you can add, you can connect thermal zones, you can connect heating water, cooling water, etc. To that. So maybe, let's see here. If I add this. this to all of the zones. I wonder if I can add these thermal zones. Ah, there we go. So that is zone 2. This is zone 3. That's zone 4. So we've got a VAB with reheat that goes to the zones, and then there's chilling and heating and a fan. And what we can do is we can click on these nodes and it will show us where that heating comes from. So that comes from this boiler, this hot water boiler. And we can click that and go back and we can figure out, okay, well, where's the cold water coming from? Okay, the cold water is coming from this chiller. And I think there's also, okay, so there's the hot water loop, there's the chilled water loop, the condenser water loop. So this is connected to the chiller. So the chiller has a condenser and service water. So you can put in here some water use system. I'm not sure where that would come from. Oh yeah, there we go. So there we have some type of water use. Oh, there we can add a bathroom sink. Guess not. So OpenStudio is kind of flexible in terms of what it outputs as well. So you can go through here and figure out what's important to you. So when I was doing the case 600, I was interested in zone infiltration. So I selected zone infiltration, volume flow rate. But there's a whole huge number of different output variables that you could possibly want that could be useful. Then next you can select the run period. There's some simulation control. And this basically just gives a nicer user interface than the EnergyPlus interface, because these are all options right at the beginning of IDF editor. So if I go here, version, simulation control, do zone sizing calculation, do system sizing calculation, do plant sizing calculation, run simulation for sizing periods, etc. That's very similar to what we're seeing here. I'm not sure what this is actually, so I'm just going to ignore that. And then I am going to try running this, but my guess is it's not going to work, but it might. So let's see what happens. Oh. Plus 7.2. So this is an older version of OpenStudio. I haven't installed the new version yet. So what I will do is export an IDF file. And so if you got it to run, then the outputs would be shown here. So here's our new IDF file, our building. So now we can go into the text editor and change things if we want to, or we can go into IDF editor. So there's a way to update this file. How did I do that? I'm not sure I remember how to do that. Anyways, so there are ways of updating these files to from the older version to the newer version. So anyways, those are the main two ways that I use to generate IDF files for EnergyPlus, and then I will go into EnergyPlus, into the IDF file, and I will edit them here. And so to do that kind of editing, probably want to look at some documentation on how to do that. EnergyPlus has a lot of embedded information in the install file. If you go to documentation and go to index, the index will search all of the PDFs that come with EnergyPlus. There's an engineering reference. There's a tips and tricks. Okay, so my computer crashed there. So I'm back up. Something happened. I don't know where I left off. Basically, this index here, if you click it, you can search through all of the references that EnergyPlus provides. there's a tips and tricks file here that's helpful. The engineering reference kind of goes into the background on how how the EnergyPlus works, how it models things, kind of the assumptions that it makes. There's also these example files. So in addition to the to BEopt being able to generate files and OpenStudio being able to generate files, there's example files, a whole plethora of example files. Then there's this Excel file that has a list of the example files here, and it gives information on the name of the example file and kind of what it contains. These X's kind of show what it has. So there's another resource of files that can be kind of, you can mix and match. You can take parts from one and parts of others and put them together if you want a certain mechanical system with a certain shape of building. Then there's also this EnergyPlus example file generator that can be used to, you basically can design a simple building in here and then submit it, and it'll actually send you an email with the IDF file in it. So there's BEopt, OpenStudio, this list of example files here, and the EnergyPlus example file generator. These are all ways you can create IDF files, and it really creates all the structure for you, and then you can go in there and edit afterwards. Let's just take a look at one of these example files. Let's see, there we go. That's why my computer crashed. We can import one of these IDF files. Let's just choose a random one. Again, there's errors when you import it into OpenStudio. It's not that good for importing, but what is useful is being able to look at how the building is designed. So here you have a central core, 4 zones on the outside, a central zone, and then you've got windows, and then you've got shades on the south, east, and west faces of the building. So that's kind of my introduction to making your life easy with EnergyPlus. I hope it's helpful for you, and hope that you choose EnergyPlus in your future for making amazing building models. This is Austin. Thanks for watching.